it's easier for us to just kind of cast out uncomfortable, complex, complicated feelings, and a birth mom is all of that.
It's easier to paint her as a bad person than to possibly admit that what she's doing is truly beautiful and empowering.
What is it? You want to show Sarah?
Oh, look at that. How cool. What kind of cars is that?
You can't distinguish her in a crowd. She's not sad. She's not pathetic. She's just a mom. She's just a woman. And unfortunately, society does portray us as drug addicts or alcoholics or prostitutes or any number of unsavory things. And some of us may have had those things in our past, but that's not who we are. We are women, we are mothers who made really great choices for our children. That's who we are.
They are people. They are just human beings like all the rest of us, and in a position to make a tough decision. And there is no right and there's no wrong. It is what's right for them at the time and what they feel is best for their child at the time. And most of the time, pretty much all of the time, it is at their own heartbreak, but it is because they are putting their child first.
Human nature is to protect ourselves and to take care of ourselves and to avoid pain. And it's not human nature to seek pain and to accept pain and bring pain into your life. But that's exactly what birth moms do. And they do it because they're willing to accept that pain if it means they can make good choices for their children. I honestly don't think that every other human has the capacity to do that. I don't believe that. And so when people say to me, oh, I could never do that, sometimes I want to say, I know.
I don't think it's going to go.
Come on, ready? Come on.
There we go. Good job. Want to go back?
Oh, boy.
You know, all the things that we kind of think of in the whole last generation of adoption stories are rarely the stories that I hear today. And when I talk to the moms who placed in the 50s, those aren't their stories either. It's just easier for us to think that there's one story for a birth parent.
There's all kinds of different reasons. Sometimes it is because there are substance abuse issues or there are mental health issues, but those are really not necessarily the typical kind of thing that we see. Sometimes it's financial, oftentimes it's financial.
Lack of resources, not having enough money. Sometimes it's not cash. Sometimes it's resiliency. Stability in housing, needing to work jobs to provide for older children and not being able to add another one to the mix. I've seen many people who were involved in drugs and alcohol not being able to get that managed, finding out that they were pregnant during that, not wanting to bring a child into that kind of chaos.
Sometimes it's because there's domestic violence issues with the father, or there's all kinds of family reasons that may impact her decision to make an adoption. That's often an underlying factor in adoptions. It was the underlying factor in my making an adoption plan for my daughter, to try to please my parents after I had disappointed them in such a way.
I've known people who have gotten pregnant from violent assaults, rape.
I know for my story, I didn't let a lot of people know that he had threatened, bodily harm on me if I hadn't gotten pregnant. I didn't tell many, many people how truly abusive he was.
Believing that you're in a relationship that is stable and steady and steadfast, and that when you find out that you're pregnant, your partner will be there with you and you will parent together, and then finding out they head for the hills as soon as they find out about the pregnancy, or they say, "This isn't my baby, you're a slut, you must have been sleeping around."
What people have to remember is that the birth parents approached us. They came to the agency. Their children were not removed against their wishes, and they made this plan. So that is what they want. That's what they want for their child.
I got this, I think, from another birth mom, but it resonates with me so strongly, is that I and other birth moms, we're not giving babies to families, we're giving families to our child. And once again, that shift in how you think of things is huge. Semantically, it's very small, but it's huge conceptually, because it does shift that entitlement that we're not giving a baby to someone.
You like to cook? What? Cobwebs?
Cobwebs. That's a
your
food?
new song.
Is that a food?
That's your new song you like to sing.
The cobweb song?
How does that song go, Haley? You want to sing it?
Did you make this up?
It's overwhelming. It's all encompassing, and to me, it is still an out-of-body experience when I look back on it. I don't remember my hand signing those papers. I remember watching myself sign the papers. I still to this day tell my mom if she had not been there, I would have come home with my son.
Babies don't wait for us to get our act together. We have to make decisions right then. And we hopefully make the best decision that we can when we have to make it. Not what would my situation be 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 6 months from now. What is my situation right now, and what do I need to do to best take care of my child?
They immediately put him into my arms, which was what we had decided. And I spent the first, 48, 72 hours in the hospital with him, just kind of talking to him about this whole, he's a newborn, he's 12, 20 hours old. But I'm having really good conversations with him about my plan and why I thought it was the best, and how at that point, all the wonderful pregnancy hormones, oxytocin, I had bonded so much with this baby. And I remember having this conversation with him, just going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this.
The memory that I have of being with Brian and with her, and the three of us being together, there are lots of things that my brain will not allow me to remember about my daughter's birth, about the time in the hospital, about the actual surrender. But that time, the three of us together, is burned into my memory and is one of the most precious memories that I have.
I think a lot of individuals who find themselves pregnant and are kind of grappling with what the best decision is, people don't see that grappling process. We describe the adoption process as a place where joy and sorrow meet, that our incredible joy comes at the cost of sorrow for this woman who is courageous and brave, who is making a decision that is completely selfless. That pain happens in a moment, but it also is ongoing for that birth mom. There are constant losses.
1, 2, 3. Woo! Go! Come back! Hurry! There you go.
I always kind of, if I was going to draw a silhouette of a birth mom, it would be the outline of a female figure with a baby-shaped hole cut out of the side. Because once you become a birth mom, you're never whole again. It doesn't have to be a negative thing, it just changes you.
It goes back to the misunderstanding that how can I grieve this much and how can I be so sad over a choice that I made? And that's the disenfranchised grief. That's the grief that we as birth moms feel, but society doesn't recognize it, and society doesn't view it as grief, and they don't respect it as grief. And that's why we don't share publicly our grief, because people don't understand and people make it worse by the things that they say. And so we often just have to suffer in silence. There's things that you don't anticipate when you're making this plan. Like for me, I thought, okay, I just have to make it through 18 years. And when she's 18, she'll find me and I can explain this to her, I can talk to her, I can tell her how very much I love her, how I loved her from the time I knew that she was growing in my belly. I've loved her every single day. And you think, if you can just get to 18, if I can survive 18 years and then be able to tell her that, I'll be okay. And then 18 comes and goes with nothing. And so then you play games in your head and you think, well, maybe she just needs to be 21. Maybe it's 21. If I can just get from 18 to 21, I'll be okay. And then 21 comes and goes. And then you think, well, maybe it's 25. Maybe that's her magic number. If I can just get from 21 to 20. And it's hard when the finish line keeps moving.
You get me on one of those days that I'm watching Netflix videos or movies that have adoption or adoptees or unplanned pregnancies in them, and all of a sudden you're going to find me on the sofa crying. My poor kid comes out and is like, what happened? I'm like, oh, it's a birth son thing. It's good. It's good to cry. It's good to process this, not hold in, not tell myself I should be through this. This is stuff that changes you for the course of your life, and when it flares up, you need to honor it and the choices you made in it.
I never wanted another birth mom to go through what I went through. And I never wanted anyone else to spend 22 years in the dark without knowing someone else who had experienced this.
If you want to go the adoption route, make sure you realize what it's going to feel like during birth, 20 minutes after birth, 3 days later when you are eligible to terminate your parental rights, what it's going to feel like that night that you're spending alone after the birth with your baby not there. What is it going to feel like a year later? What do you think you'll be doing? How will you be exploring your new role as birth mom? What's it going to feel like 5 years later, a decade, if you have another child? And then when you see yourself at the end of your life, fading out of this existence, how will you reflect on this choice that you're possibly going to make right now?
Where's Mouse?
There are tough things all along the way, but by far, the hardest thing is to see adoptive families who don't honor their commitment, their openness commitment to birth moms after the fact.
There was a birth mom who was beautiful and wonderful and had been promised the open adoption of her dreams by the adoptive family. And then directly after placement, they changed their number. They moved to another state. They had they basically got a similar document to a restraining order and said, you can't come anywhere near us, you can't contact us. We don't want to hear from you ever again. When you put your signature on that piece of paper, your parental rights are terminated. And once that adoption finalized, she lived for a good few months. She had ended up in inpatient psychiatric units, and she eventually took her own life.
Sometimes birth moms go through struggles after they make placements, and sometimes having visits might not be the best option for the child or for the birth mother, but you make other kinds of arrangements. You send extra pictures, you make a phone call, you Skype, you do something to keep that link. You don't break it.
This cannot happen. We are failing an entire population who is making good decisions by not supporting them once those decisions have been made. Birth parents are not the disposable party here. We can't be.
If you're an agency that is preying on pregnant women, I hope that there are some repercussions for that, either in this world or the next, because it's reprehensible.
I felt like chopped liver after. I got a lot of attention before. If I needed something, if I needed more money from my living expenses, if I needed more gift cards for gas in my car, they were more than happy to send it to me, along with the line of, well, you know, if you don't place, you're gonna have to pay this money back.
No, that's a lie, and we can't allow those kinds of lies and that kind of pressure and manipulation to continue.
They're told that they are no longer qualified, that they have delivered this baby into the world and now their job is done.
I would caution women who are seeking adoption services, that if they ever feel at all unsure about the ethics of the agency that they're working with or the attorney that they're working with, walk away. You can find a good agency that will listen to you.
It's not a signature on a piece of paper that makes me not part of your family. I am now forever tied to you because of the child that you're raising. We have to start seeing each other as equals and as fully participating members of that family. We need to validate each other's experience, all the crises, the loss on both sides. We need to come together and honor each other as parents.
Stay behind this guy with the shirt on. I want to see. Did you get it? Oh, wow, it's beautiful.
Pretty great, huh?
There's some on my nose, right?
Wouldn't it be nice if in our systems, in our adoption culture, if we refused to diminish the birth parenting parties, if we honored them, if they were feeling vulnerable and less than, we made sure we enhanced and reinforced their dignity, that we told them and believed it, that what they are doing is amazing and complicated, and we're going to be here through the ups and downs of it, not just until you deliver and place, but for the continuum of your life, because we want you to know that you were a contributing and valued part of this lifelong decision that will span generations.
As parents, when we try to shelter our children from something, we're sending a message about that something to our children. And I would hate to try to shelter Caden from a part of his identity. I think that would be a detriment more than it would be a help in any situation. Giving him permission to explore his identity in full is not just a blessing, it's part of a responsibility of being a parent.
We only kind of revere them. And so when we talk to people, we mostly stress about how amazing our birth moms are and how brave they are. Because we want people, both in our family and our friend groups, to interact with them, not as somebody who they perceive as a 16-year-old who irresponsibly got pregnant. We want them to to think about her as the brave individual who decided to make an adoption plan, and she chose us to be Caden's family.
Go! Yay!
We are humbled by them in every way, and so I think that also changes the perception of the ways in which our community sees Amber too.
We referred to me as Mama Lauren from the beginning, and it was just kind of like our little thing. And then now that he's getting older and he has a say in things, at first he didn't like it. It was kind of confusing to him. But then last November, he approached me and he told me he remembered why I was so special, and told me that he remembered he grew in my belly and that I was his Mama Lauren. And so to this day, that's who I am. And if it changes, it changes, but I like it for right now.
He knows I'm his birth mom. I think around 8, he kind of got that. I remember seeing him right after his 8th birthday, that age of reason thing. And, we're all sitting around kind of playing. Kids are interacting and running around. And I kind of watched him kind of skulking around the table, watching me, kind of evaluating. Like, now I get, like, you're not just this crazy woman and her daughter who show up every now and again. I lived in you for a while, and I'm biologically related to you. And at that point, I remember just because I wanted to just run up and hug him and, give him the squeezes like I usually did. And I realized at that point I was going to have to let him, now he's the one who's the evaluator. He's the one who's going to dictate the level of comfort and access that we have. I have to honor his pace in asking and answering any questions.
because friends of ours are having children, so he wants to know. So we explain that they have a baby in their belly, so he wants to know whose belly he was in. You know, he's not quite sure, you know, and then it's like, oh, were you in Mama Amber's belly? And then he's like, yeah, of course, okay.
And because we have an open adoption, that's the most honest, real answer, is that you were baking in Mama Amber's belly. I mean, that's really what happened.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's been a long process. Like, we've gone through all these things. We've gone through 2 full adoptions. Is that if you are scared of open adoption, I would challenge you to figure out what inside of you is creating that fear. You know, because research shows that in most situations, it's best for there to be an openness. It's best for the kid, it's best for the birth mom, it's best for the family, for that to be this scenario. And it's not true of every scenario, but it's true for lots of scenarios. And so if fear of the birth mom taking them, or the child not viewing their adoptive parents as their real parents, or whatever your fear is, you know, I think you really need to explore, why am I so scared? Because at the end of the day, all you're creating for the child is more people to love them.
Look how beautiful that is.
That looks like fireworks.
It does. You did a great job. We'll hang it up over here, okay? Don't forget to get it before you leave today.
You're not alone. There's a whole tribe of us that we exist.
I love the fact that birth moms are coming out of the shadows, that we're talking about our feelings, our experiences, that we're coming together and validating each other. I love the fact that we are sometimes fiercely protective of our pregnant women, making sure that they are fully informed so that we're not complicit in continuing the next generation of coercion or exploitation of vulnerable pregnant women. I love the fact that we have a place where you can talk about when you are a raw nerve, we'll sit with you. I think that as birth moms sit with their own experience and feel strong in their own community, we are able to go to the next level and deal with people and systems and cultures that still view us as others, as different, as apart, and say, no, we're not. And when we look you in the eye and refuse to let you reduce us or our experience, I think the system has to respond. And so the stronger that we are, no, it's not strong, the more safe we feel, we're able to explore those complicated emotions and then help people at the next level interface with the complicated response to that. We'll help you. Birth moms are infinitely compassionate.
You are a great mom. You made a tough decision, a horribly difficult decision for your child because you loved your child, and that makes you a great mom, and don't ever let anyone take that away from you.
Oh, I love Barbies. Oh, yeah. Biscotti. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I know. Look. I love when he laughs like that. Over there. Buddy. Gonna go back a little bit? You wanna go back? Run back. Run back. She is so cute. Come on, you can't. Ready? All right. Okay, go.
Mommy. Okay, come on.
Are you gonna go back?
Yeah.
Nobody. Hurry up, come back. Come on.
Oh, it's sinking.
I met Mom.
Yeah,
like the bubbles?
Yeah, but a nice day.
It is a nice day.